welcome to this week's video. These are the videos where I try and give you an idea of what it's like to be a working musician in the UK, my weekly vlog or gig diary, if you will. So coming up in this week's video, me wearing a very bad wig and an attempt at fancy dress. My daughter sings again. And I discover a new way of singing, possibly due to tight trousers. Now, I've mentioned this on the last couple of videos, and I'm going to mention it again, shamelessly plugging my new album, which just came out, I think 2 weeks ago today, by the time this video comes out. Here it is on CD. It's Halfway to Somewhere, it's called, and it's available on all digital platforms. And I just want to show you a new video that I've got. It's actually some footage of when we recorded the video, so might be of some interest if you're into studio gear. There's some serious nerdery to be had here. This is a little snippet of it. I shall release the whole video at some point. But we recorded it at a great studio near Gatwick Airport in England, which is just south of London. And it's called the Hive Rooms, and this was their #1 studio at the time. Since we recorded there, they've actually built this fantastic brand new facility, which, if you saw my video a few weeks ago, I showed a little bit of footage from. We did a gig in the live room. It's such a big live room. But this was in the smaller studio, which is still there, and this is where we track the drums. And my friend Steve Davey, who was in my very first ever band, he's also an excellent videographer and filmmaker, and he made this video. He recorded us while we were tracking the drums. So I'm going to show you a little clip of this, but don't forget to go and check this out. It's been getting some good reviews, so I'm very pleased with it. So please go and have a listen and just have a look at this video. This is of the opening track of the album. It's called Dreamcatcher.
Is it a tattoo on your back of a dream catcher? How you gonna see if you caught a dream? Show me yours, shows you mine anyway, it doesn't matter. Cause Billy the Ink chose the picture, so you don't know what it means. Spin them old 45s till the sun comes up, I got nowhere to go, I miss the midnight bus. I guess that dive-by clock must have stopped up in.
Okay, on to the gigs. Now, this first gig is a gig that I've shown many times. It's a regular gig that I do in Brighton, in a pub called the Black Lion. It's a bar gig we do twice a month. And on this occasion, I was having to step up to be the lead singer because our lead singer was in Australia. He let us know the day before. We weren't sure where he was. Anyway, he said he's WhatsApping. We thought he was in Brighton. He was actually in Australia. So I've been struggling with my voice for a little while, not because of singing, but I've had this kind of cough cold thing going on for weeks now, and lots of people have got it. I haven't actually lost my voice, but I'm all blocked up. And I had a gig a couple of weeks ago. I showed it on my video where the monitor engineer did their usual trick of if there was any feedback, they'd pull the frequency out that was feeding back until the point where they pulled all the frequencies out and you can't hear the monitor at all. Has anyone else experienced that with monitor engineers? And basically I ended up losing my voice after about one song because I was having to push to hear myself, and because I've been coughing a lot, I haven't got much stamina at the moment. So I decided on this gig I was going to use my in-ear monitors. Now, we don't mic everything up, it's just a bar gig, we turn up and use backline, but there is a monitor output on the PA, but I knew I'd only be able to hear my voice, which isn't ideal and not why I bought my in-ear monitors necessarily. Now, I want to show you these. I've had them getting on for 18 months, and it's from a company called ACS, and they provide you this little dehumidifier thing, which you put the in-ear monitors in once, oh, there goes the silica gel, which you put them in as soon as you've finished wearing them, to dry them out, because I think they've had a lot of problems with them getting damp with sweat and it ruining the connections and the drivers. And so far I haven't had any problems, and I've used this every time I've finished wearing them. But the reason I got these ones, they're called the, I think, Ambient series, was really for this very reason, that if I just want to hear myself singing, but I still want to hear what's going on around me, these have got filters in the same as normal earplugs. So in theory I'm hearing a turned down version of the ambient sound plus myself through the drivers and the monitors. Pete Thorne did a really good video, I'm going to link to that, about a new type of in-ear monitors. Now this company used to do a similar thing where they have microphones that feed into the drivers to give you the ambient sound surrounding you. And the ones that he's got, they've actually got microphones built into here, a bit like ear pods or something, where they use the microphones on them for cancelling, for noise cancellation. With these, they actually feed the ambient sound in along with your mix of whatever it is you want to hear. These do it in a low-tech way by actually letting in the sound through these filters. But Pete Thorne video is very interesting about how it's difficult using in-ear monitors as a guitarist, because you're so used to hearing the amp sort of down there, and then all of a sudden with in-ear monitors you're hearing it as if you've got your ear right against the speaker cone, which is a completely different experience and not very pleasant always, and it takes some work to do. But I have to say, I used these and it really worked well. All I had in them was my voice and a little bit of the keyboards, which are in the PA as well, but I could hear the bass and drums and my guitar amp perfectly well through the filters, and I managed to sing all night and not lose my voice, I was about to say, and lose my voice, and not lose my voice. And because I could hear myself, I decided I'd do a song that I've been practicing at home to annoy my children. I've many times over the years I've done a very silly Sting impersonation. Then I thought to myself, actually, I don't need to do a Sting impersonation, but I can sing some of those songs in that higher register, which I don't ever really attempt when I'm using stage monitors because it's difficult to hear yourself. And I've been practicing at home, so I decided to learn and sing Roxanne. So I'm going to show you, this is the very first time I've ever sung it live, and I think it was all right actually. Obviously it's going to take a bit more practice and a bit more work, and I think with that I will get it better, but I'm just going to show you this, see what you think. This next song, this is Move On Up. I haven't played this song for a long time. This is one of my favourite songs to play. I used to do it all the time in one of the bands I play, and actually with the drummer, Sam, that you'll see in the clip. And we just decided to throw this one in, and I'm showing you this for a couple of reasons. One, I was quite pleased with the solo, but check out the guitar sound. It's through my standard pedal board into my Milkman amp using my custom shop 56 Strat. And I'm showing you this because we did an identical gig a few days later and I used a different guitar, so you can hear the difference, and you can also hear the different way that we played the song. So check this out. This is Move On Up. And another solo, this was from Funky Music, and I'm showing you this again so you can compare it to the one later where I'm playing my Y80 Strat, which I have shown you recently. But this is on the 56 Strat, and I quite like the solo, so I'm going to show you this. to the next gig. Now, before I move on to the gig that I was talking about where I'm playing my other electric guitar, I had an acoustic gig. Now, this one was with Christabel, who I've shown myself gigging with many times. And just to show you this, because I had to wear fancy dress. The pub asked us, they said, could you dress up in fancy dress? All the bar staff are going to be dressed up. And I'm not really one for fancy dress, but my daughter Ellie, she got herself a 11 costume from Stranger Things. And so I thought, that sounds like a good idea. I got myself a Hellfire Club t-shirt from Stranger Things and a dust-in cap. And then I found a very unconvincing wig in the cupboard and wore that as my costume. So I'm really showing you this. It's a solo from Lovely Day, just to show you my Quad Cortex being used in the normal way that I use it with the looping, etc. I've got a video here if you want to see how I set that up in the hybrid mode. But mainly it's to show you my very bad fancy dress. And then my daughter Ellie, my oldest daughter Ellie, she got up to sing, and as you see, she's wearing the 11 costume, which kind of makes my costume make a bit more sense. But I'm going to show you this because I'm very proud of it, and she actually has singing lessons with Christabel, so she's looking on quite proudly as well because she's been teaching her.
But I might be better. Turn out the music, turn down the lights. I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. In a minute I'm gonna need a sentimental man or woman to hug me up. See, walking in my hood is yes, he's trying to bring out the bad good luck. So I give up way too much. I'm gonna like 2 shots in the cup. Wanna get up, wanna get down. That's how I feel right now.
So on to the last gig. This was the night before Halloween. We were booked to do an extra night. Normally we do Wednesday nights. We do the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. But they asked us if we could do this extra Sunday night because it was the night before Halloween. They were expecting it to be very busy. Unfortunately it wasn't because the weather was awful. But the singer was still in Australia, so I had to step up and be the singer again. So I used my in-ear monitors, as I did on that last acoustic gig, if you noticed. I don't normally do that, but because I've been getting into them, I want to get more used to them. I used them on the acoustic gig as well. Only with one in on that though, because I didn't need to protect my hearing because it wasn't as loud. But on this electric gig, I'm using both monitors in together. I'm going to show you this solo. This is Signed, Sealed, Delivered by Stevie Wonder, kind of slowed down version. Now I've got exactly the same pedal board and amp setup, but I'm using a different guitar. So see if you can hear the difference in guitar tone, because that's the only difference really in the entire setup. These next 2 solos, I showed you us playing the same songs the previous gig. They are Funky Music and Move On Up. And I wanted to show you these so I could sort of highlight the difference in the songs. I mean, they're not wildly different, but they might be slightly different tempos, and we're doing slightly different things with the songs, and I do some slightly different well-known riffs in the solo. So I really wanted to bring this up because I recently watched a Rick Beato video where he was talking about these high-profile musicians all arguing with each other about using tracks. Now, obviously we don't use tracks on this bar gig, and I have played in bands that use tracks, but I actually prefer not to because I like the kind of spontaneity. And I'm showing you these 2 solos because it highlights the kind of differences, the slight differences. They're not completely different, but it highlights the slight differences in the 2 different performances. And that's something which I really enjoy. I like the spontaneity. In Rick Beato's video, he's talking about how in certain genres, all bands will be using tracks to play along with, because they've got so much production on the album that if they don't have it, the live it sounds wrong or it sounds weedy. But obviously this is genre specific. Now I'm going to see Derek Trucks on Sunday, which I'm very excited about, the Tedeschi Trucks band, and you know, you can almost guarantee they're not going to be using tracks because they will be playing differently. It's just that genre of music. But I've seen many bands where they must be using tracks. I've seen Bruno Mars several times, and I assume they're using tracks. I mean, they're phenomenal musicians. They probably don't need to, but there's so much production on those tracks that I expect they are. Now, this reminded me of many years ago, I did a corporate gig. The band I was in was supporting Will Young, who was quite big at the time, and his band, they turned up and sound checked without him earlier on in the day, and they were using tracks, and they sound checked with the track. The track had all backing vocals and all extra production bits on. And then just before they went on in the evening, their mini disc player, or whatever it was that was firing the tracks, went wrong. So they ended up doing the gig without the tracks. And they were all phenomenal musicians, phenomenal singers. They played all the parts and sung it all live. And I preferred it personally without the track. I mean, it sounded fantastic. It probably didn't sound quite as full, but it was much more spontaneous, and I don't think it lacked anything. But check out Rick Beato's video about this. It's very interesting, his take on it. He's not bothered by bands using track. But anyway, check these solos out. Now this first one I'll show you is Move On Up. Had a slight problem with the delay pedal at the beginning, which turned out to be quite a good effect. It was quite dark in there and I couldn't quite see what I was doing, but I had all the repeats and everything on full when I thought they were on half. So check out this solo with a different guitar as well, the white guitar rather than that one. Here we go. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave you with this solo. This is Play That Funky Music, so you can hear the difference between this one and the one earlier. I did a few different famous guitar riffs at the end of this one. I think I cut them off on the last clip because it was going on too long, but I did Purple Haze and then Sunshine of Your Love into Back in Black. On this one I did some different riffs, if you can spot them. I try and think of any guitar riffs in roughly the right tempo that are in E, and normally end up with the AC/DC one. So watch it to the end if you want to see that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment. Always appreciated. I'm bringing out new videos 7 PM UK time every Friday. So hope to see you next week.